Well, the idea behind track keyframes is that you've done a video edit, you're happy with it, you now want to do an audio mix. So you've locked off the picture and everything else, and then you want to do a mix. And to do that kind of thing, Adobe Premiere's got this fancy audio mixer. Now, I haven't done anything at all to do with this audio mixer. I've been doing everything down here with points and that sort of thing. I've not touched it at all. But there's quite a lot of things you can do with this audio mixer. And one of them is to do a live mix. Now, this works a lot better if you attach a nice mixer box with maybe 8 sliders on it, and then you can do a live mix on 8 sliders. It's a bit harder to do a live mix using just a mouse, which is what I'll do in a second. But you can do a live mix. You can do a decent audio mix. You can do all sorts of really fancy things using this audio mixer. If I do a live mix, it makes track keyframes, not clip keyframes. So let's do one of these. Now, I've made a complete mess of this. I've put keyframes everywhere else, so I'm going to forget that. I'm going to go on to a different piece of video completely. Shots of some trains at our local Bluebell Railway, very popular place down here in Sussex. I'm going to grab hold of a piece of audio and I'm going to dump it underneath the video, and I just want to do a mix between some of these clips. So, now I'm really running out of space here on this screen. I'm using quite a low resolution, so it's actually viewable easily for you, but unfortunately I'm running out of space. So what I want to do is I want to take that mixer and just make it fill up this half of the screen. I'm going to grab hold of the little dots out there next to the tab, drag it across here, and wait till I see this kind of bluey-greeny affair. Not one of these dark blue ones, this bluey-greeny affair. Let go, and now I've made a panel all on its own for that audio mixer. Just so I can split the screen up so I can see that really big, and then this one over here. So I've got to decide which tracks I'm going to fiddle with. I've got audio 1, 2, 3 and 4. I actually want to fiddle with audio 3 mainly. You can see for audio 3 I've got a left and right, I've got a few little icons here, and I've also got a slidey which changes the volume of the track. Now I can use that without having to do a live mix. Basically, if I grab hold of that and take it downwards, that's just reduce the volume of that entire track. Everything on that track has now come down by 11 dB. I could have put a huge mix on there, and some clips are louder and some clips are quieter and some fade up and fade down. This takes the result of that, whatever's on the timeline, and then reduces everything by 11 dB, so everything goes down by the same amount. And that's quite a simple way of saying I've got everything on one track and it's a bit loud, whack it down a bit. Now I don't do that, I actually want to change the levels as it goes through. I'm going to set up an in point and an out point so that I actually got an area specified. And then I'm going to say on audio 3, come up to the top, and where it says read, I don't want to read, which is basically play it, I want to do something else. And I've got 4 different modes. So read is just look at it, don't change it. Then you've got latch, touch and write. This changes what happens when you move this slider. If you choose write, then basically as you're holding it, no matter what you're doing, everything is written. If you choose touch, then you'll move it and then let go and everything won't happen. As soon as you touch it again, it'll register the change. When you say latch, it sort of latches to a point and then it'll jump to the next one. Now I'm just going to put it on write for the purposes of this demonstration. Get ready to go. Click on the play into out, just so I can do just this bit. Set it going and then start fiddling. And you can hear the results as you're doing it. So I want to fade the music up. Fade it back down. Back up. Down. Up. Down. Up, down, up, down. Okay, I'm making a mess of it. But you get the idea. As I'm changing the slider, everything I'm doing is being reflected and recorded inside of Premiere. Right, so that's it. I've done a mix. Let's now try playing it back. Now you notice there the slider popping up and down because it recorded all the moves I made with the mouse. Now you can probably see why it's easier to do this kind of main mix by having a mixing desk with 8 sliders on it, which you can do 8 tracks at once because you've got enough fingers to do that. With a mouse it's quite hard to do a whole bunch of tracks at once. Now you can hear the differences, but you can't see it. on the timeline, can you? That's where your track keyframes come in. Click on this, show track keyframes, and there you can see an awful lot of keyframes. Try and make it a bit bigger so you can see it better. It's recorded every single little touch I did on that slider. And this ramp here, if I was just putting the points on myself, I'd put a point there and a point there and it would ramp. But because when I'm doing the live mix it does exactly what I've done with my mouse, it's put lots and lots of points in. Now there is a preference under audio there which talks about thinning out the keyframes. I mean, I've left it at the default, so it's put quite a few in, but I can say, look, there's a minimum time interval between keyframes. Make this, it's only 20 milliseconds, I can make it longer, I can make it smaller, but what it'll do is it won't put so many keyframes in. The bigger this number is, the fewer keyframes it'll put in for you. Of course, the less accurate it will be. If you let it do lots and lots of keyframes, it'll exactly mimic what you did when you're fiddling with your mouse. But if you think you're putting too many and you want it simpler, then go and change that preference. That's one of the reasons why you would use track keyframes, so you can do a mix like this. The track keyframes work in conjunction with the clip keyframes. So if I take this clip and make it a lot louder, the whole thing is a lot louder, and then it moves up and down with the track keyframes afterwards, so it mixes the two together. They actually work in conjunction. And in this case, if you watch the levels, it's peaked. I've made everything far too loud. By fiddling around now, this music is just basically too loud, which is something you've got to be careful of. It will mix everything together. You've got to be careful when you're doing it that you don't make things too loud or too soft.